here with the queen herself.
I'm here with Rafiq, the king himself.
I'm here with the phenomenal Rafiq. I'm so happy to be here.
I know your New York fans cringe.
Welcome to a platform where we debate on the top stories of the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, and other leagues with the best in the world of sports. You'll also get interviews with many athletes and media talents at several basketball events, including the WNBA and college basketball. My name is Rafiq Lutheran, and this is Nothing But That Sports Talk. Happy New Year 2025, and welcome to this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Rafiq Lutheran, Ryan Walker, how you doing on the LIRR side?
Doing good here in Strong Island. Doing good. You know how we do it, maintaining. A lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah. You know how I'm doing down here in Brooklyn, New York, of course, yeah. I mean, a lot of big things for us coming in 2025, but before we get into that, why don't we just recap, what a 2024 was, because we got one New York team that won a championship, one that came within 3 victories shy of winning a championship, one New York team that's about 2 wins shy of a Yankees versus Mets World Series 2, and, of course, the bad football teams in the Jets and the Giants. So, with that being said, on top of the New York Knicks making the semifinals and come within a Game 7 victory shy of making it to the conference finals, but this time they're more healthy and they made a lot of major changes. But, what was like the best moments for you in 2024 for New York sports?
And also don't forget that our hockey team stink too. The Rangers and Islanders are playing like crap this year. So hockey.
Yeah, that too.
Well, at least one of them made a run last year, but still President's Cup, but still right now they're bad. So I don't think I have. I think personally for me, it's probably always getting the opportunity to go to Canada for the Peace Tournament. Shout out to my peoples in Nova Scotia and the Peace Tournament individually to get to go out there and do what we do with MC and for the basketball games or announcing or interviews and so on and so forth is pretty dope. And for me individually, that's my highlight for that year, last year and everything. But honestly, now when you look at it in hindsight, regardless of them not being victorious and them losing out on Soto in the offseason, but still finding a way to build their team. I mean, clearly the Yankees going to the World Series and us, at one point believing that they had an opportunity to win it was pretty cool last year. Of course, definitely the New York Liberty going to the WNBA Finals is clearly,
without a doubt,
it's clearly a great accomplishment for them history-wise. For the sport of the WNBA, and that was just big time for New York. And I know to most of the masses and to the smart people, we know how important that was for New York sports, for the Liberty in general, and for history. So there's some people that will try to act like it didn't happen or downplay it, but there's nothing to downplay on that one. That pretty much was really big time. And honestly, in hindsight, that's the biggest thing that happened throughout the year, last year for New York sports. Like we said, the Rangers and Islanders were competitive in the season that just passed, per se, in this same year. The Rangers made a run. They won the President's Trophy, but right now they're not playing the greatest. The Jets and the Giants are a shell of themselves. The Jets will be having their issues in the offseason and try to improve on the team. And the Giants, I can't even explain why they would win that football game last week, but that's a whole different other story to decrease their chances of trying to get the number 1 or possibly the number 2 pick. So hopefully fate will be on our side this weekend to change that. But the Knicks, like you said, made a big run. Now they you said it perfect. They're well improved. They added some pieces that changes the dynamic of their team. We just think they're one big defensive stopper away in the interior from being an elite contender team. We got to hope at some point, which I know the Cavs will cool off a little bit. And, we see as the Knicks are ascending right behind on Boston now, as they won 9 straight and been playing phenomenal basketball. And listen, what's so crazy? Excluding, I think, listen, you're going to lose games in a season. The good teams win more, but you're going to lose games. But nevertheless, excluding a blip to Detroit, which, hey, listen, no disrespect to those young kids, but they have no business losing to Detroit. And for some reason, how they always find a way to not play well against Atlanta, because for the play-in tournament, remember they were in the quarters.
Yeah, it's actually named the NBA Cup. They lost.
Pardon me. I'm sorry. The NBA Cup. Not the play-in. The play-in is the playoffs. I'm sorry.
The NBA Cup is pretty much 2021 all over again. The Knicks lose to the Hawks. The Bucks win the cup.
They shouldn't have. I know they wish, but like I said, but for some reason, we always got to think about it. For some reason, Trae Young always plays very well against the Knicks. He either plays very bad or plays very well. And he found the moments in those games to get hot in that game, because in the third quarter, he found a little way to get hot, because he wasn't killing or anything per se before that. But for some reason, even the time the Knicks played them in Atlanta, the Knicks have 10 losses and 2 to the Hawks. And I think the Hawks are probably the only team this year that, could be wrong, that probably beat them twice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So and quite frankly, they shouldn't have lost any game to the Hawks. But they lost that game for the NBA Cup, which at least I should have thought that they should at least been playing the Bucks, and they would have had an opportunity to beat the Bucks, and even the Bucks would have lost, he would take that. But nevertheless, they're right behind Boston. They've been playing really good basketball in the last 3-4 weeks, just peeling off wins, and 4th best record in basketball. They stay in that mix. Who knows? I think they just need the key is Mitchell Robinson. Whenever he comes back, right? If healthy and going right, we know what he brings to the table. He's a shot blocker, defender at the rim, an intimidator, a rebounder. He can finish with dunks above the rim, not a bunch of post and face-up moves, but a few things that he's trying to work with. But he'll finish at the rim. Not a great free throw shooter, but we know what he does for the defensive end. If he comes back, and once he gets his feet wet, be anything in the form of himself, that enhances the team. Because now they can start him with Karl-Anthony Towns, and Karl can go to the 4, or they can take him off the bench. And now there's more depth for whatever they do. If they don't keep Robinson, I hear a lot of rumors. If they go do a trade with the Jazz and get Kessler, I'm fine with Kessler. Kessler blocks what? Is 4th in the league in block shots.
Mm-hmm. I believe he's somewhere around that.
Right. He plays well at the rim. He can rebound. He can finish underneath the basket, just like Robinson can. He actually shoots a better percentage from the free throw line. You know what I'm saying? He's tough. He's a gritty guy. He's always been in that top 5 to top 6 the last few years in block shots. So I'm fine with that. If I hear, I don't know how true it is, I hear Jonas Valanciunas. If they go,
he's one of the centers that the Knicks are actually targeting to get, I'm told, or there's at least possibility they're trying to get. But I don't know, you just don't know with the New York Knicks. But you know what? It's good that we have a lot less disappointing things to talk about. The last month they only lost to the Detroit Pistons and the Atlanta Hawks. To be fair, the loss against Detroit, they're without Jalen Brunson. And you know how good they could be when Jalen Brunson's playing. They're without Jalen Brunson the other night against the Utah Jazz. And the Jazz, they were the only team with less than 7 wins to get a win against the New York Knicks. Back in November. But they defeated them without Utah. They defeated the Jazz, which highlight the 9-game win streak, which we'll get to that a little later. But it's besides the point. This team, though it took a month, it gelled very well. And Karl-Anthony Towns is looking like one of the top centers in the Eastern Conference, at least.
He's playing phenomenal ball. By accident, we might be able to get 3 All-Stars. Carl's going to be an All-Star. Brunson's going to be an All-Star. They both might start. You know, who knows? You know what I'm saying? But I think if Bridges keeps going on the pace that he has, and even OG, you know, if they get into a nice good stretch again, they've had games this year where they've done well, extremely well. OG has scored 40 a few times, I believe, and has 30 plus a few times. Bridges had a 41-point game on Christmas Day, and has had really good, solid basketball games, scoring the basketball lately. With the Knicks' success, it's a possibility. We know in Boston they're going to get 2. And Cleveland right now probably has literally 3, maybe 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we're looking at it right now. I mean, Donovan Mitchell has the second most votes in Eastern Conference first returns among guards.
right. He's got so let's say right now the starting lineup for the backcourt is Brunson and Mitchell, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, your front court you might have a Towns, you know, of course a Giannis, without a shadow of a doubt. And I'm not sure what else to think after that, but somebody else will fall into the mix. But you know, there's opportunities, and they got a good team. Let's see what happens. For football, for both franchises going forward. Long story short, they got to do better. They got to figure it out. It's got to be better than this. You know, I'm watching the Giants game last week, and I'm just like,
what are we thinking about? I mean,
I'm just in awe because I'm sitting there and I'm watching my lady, and I'm like, you know, I said, baby, this might sound crazy, and I keep saying it. I've been saying it for weeks though. I said, they got to lose every game. They got to try to be the worst. And even worse for the Colts, because the Colts came out, you thought the Colts was not going for the playoffs because they just came out flat and at spurts of times. And I'm watching the game and I'm watching the Giants do good and some young guys do good, like the kid who ran for the kickoff return touchdown, who's from Newark, New Jersey. That was pretty cool for you to get the first kickoff return touchdown going into the second half for the Giants, like in 15 years. And and he's a Jersey kid, and some guys made some plays, and Drew Lock, believe it or not, looked good. I don't even know how many times you're ever going to say that. But
Malik Neighbors was a monster in the receiving end.
Malik Neighbors and Wanda Robson was very good. As a matter of fact, all the receivers were good. Slayton, they all got into the end zone. They all played very, very well. But not now. You can't win now. You have to lose. Now you have the 4th pick, and you have to pray that the other teams ahead either mess up to bet you back to 3 or 2nd or 1, and you got to lose 2, or you got to hope that if the draft position stays the way it is, that those other teams are not super in need of that quarterback and draft otherwise. And that takes a lot of scouting as an organization to do. Most of these teams by accident are going to draft Shador and Cam because they're really talented, and you just probably can't pass up on seeing what that type of talent can do on the next level. So we'll just see. And they play Philadelphia this week. I hear Saquon Barkley is not going to play, so they're not going to give him the opportunity to break the rushing record, I guess. I don't know if that changes.
Which is for the best, because as somebody that played for the New York Giants once, you don't want to do it to the New York Giants. It's for the best.
I think they probably all came together and suggested that Saquon probably likes the Giants. Plus, they really do want to rest them. So if they all had that conversation, it probably went so. That still doesn't, and what hurts them now is that Jalen Hurts wasn't going to return to the playoffs anyway, but Jalen Hurts is hurt. Then the backup guy who came in stated that he's got hurt and then concussion protocol. So now they have the third string, but the third string threw a touchdown last week. And I know he's better than one quarterback that we got. So, and they got outside targets. It's in Philadelphia. I mean, The Giants played better this week, but I can't sit there and just say, even without Saquon and a bunch of their guys not playing, I still think the Eagles are a better team than them. So they should win. But then, again, with our luck, the Giants would win the game and drop to like the 7th pick.
Here's the conflicting parts. You don't want the Giants to go win this at home.
No.
The players, they want to show what they got. And as the way they play and the way they gel, they want to show that it can actually translate to wins whenever they go back to being good and they get that elusive quarterback they need, whether it's Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. But you pissed off a lot of fans. You lost 10 straights. The one time you win, it messed up your chances. I mean, you're in a 4-way tie with the Patriots, Las Vegas Raiders,
Cleveland Browns?
Cleveland Browns, yeah. You're in a 4-way tie. You should have lost that game against the Cleveland Browns. You're right about one thing. They should have lost that game to the Cleveland Browns. It's kind of rare for me to say that because who would have thought the Browns would stink up this much at this point of the season?
I couldn't believe they won the Browns game.
The Patriots already have a quarterback. What do they need? They don't need a quarterback. Drake Meyer is pretty much the future for that team. All they need is a strong wide receiver. And Travis Hunter, who I heard he's a dog, could provide that offense for the Patriots to get closer and closer to what they were when they had Tom Brady.
Well, that's what I'm going to hope that they do. Because just like you said, all right, you said New England, Jackson, and Cleveland, right?
Mm-hmm.
New England doesn't necessarily need a quarterback. You're right. They do have a quarterback now. Is he a franchise quarterback? Who knows? Right? At the moment. But he's your quarterback. Right? That doesn't mean that if you have an opportunity to draft a talent at the quarterback, you don't think about it.
But if he gets drafted to the Patriots, he'll probably be a second string quarterback at the minimum.
Who told you that? That's not a guarantee.
You really think that somebody with the last name Saunders, is going to be a second string quarterback to Drake Meyer?
But you're predicting
coached by
him.
Deion Sanders. If you follow football, you know Deion Sanders' mindset when it comes to football.
Stop it. Stop. They're studs, but they're studs in college. It's college. Now we got to see how they do in the NFL. Whole different story. There's a lot of quarterbacks that have come into the game and had a lot of accolades or hype going into the NFL and not lived up to it. So we can go there and be fair as well too. The Aldridge that was with the Raiders years back was a number one Heisman, this and that. He ended up getting overweight, being a bust. No disrespect. He had a decent career. He did decent things. Tim Tebow statistically was probably the greatest quarterback in college history. He had a season where he scored 70. What would they score? Like 70. He had like 50 passing touchdowns. 20.
Yeah, it was with the Florida Gators. I believe that was one. He won like 1 or 2 national championships back in the late 2000s, back in the mid to late 2000s before he came into the NFL, and he only had like one good season with the Denver Broncos and got steamrolled by the Patriots.
Right. Could me and you last year say, yo, we knew Chase Daniels from Washington was going to be a big time good quarterback? No,
we did not know. Yeah.
Washington drafted very well. God bless them, because they even impressed and opened all of our eyes. Right. He's in a good situation. He's playing good football. They got a good O-line around him, got a running back. They got some keys. They're well coached. They're enthusiastic. They're playing the right way. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can't see it. With Joe Burrow coming out of college, you can say, yeah, you know what? That guy's going to be big time. He came out of LSU. He won a national championship. They beat on Clemson. Yeah, he's going to be all right. But then Sam Darnold came into the league. Sam Darnold came out of college with a lot of hype. He came to the Jets. It didn't work out at first.
But he's doing well now with the Minnesota Vikings.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it takes Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones went to Duke. Daniel Jones did well for Duke. He did best. Actually, he's probably their best football player in the history of Duke. Right? So he did well when he was there. The Giants took a chance on him when they knew him through personnel. He comes down there. He's never lived up to the hype. He's either been injured, underplayed, overpaid, or just not had the tools and the keys, different offensive coaches, in order to be successful. It's a combination of a lot of things. No matter what it is, he hasn't had success. And to go back to the point now, if New England, see, you got to look at it like this. If New England meets together as minds and they know that, what's the name of the quarterback down there again?
Drake Meyer.
Drake Meyer, who's a good kid. He's a good player. Young, right? But if you draft Shedeur Sharp, right? First of all, to make that decision collectively, because everybody's got to be on board to be sold with it, you're already telling yourself you don't maybe completely believe in the quarterback you have now. Because, like you said, Shedeur Sharp is not going to go to any team and just be a second string for life. If the Patriots draft Shedeur, you don't think they want him to start?
Yes,
Think about it.
I mean, the Saunders opened up a lot of doors in the NFL and in football in general. Look
So
what Deion Sanders.
Put it like this: if I'm the quarterback right now from New England, I'm praying New England don't draft a quarterback, because if they draft a quarterback, that means not great for you, because now you're gonna have to compete for your job in order to do what you do on something that you thought was guaranteed. No, you're gonna have to go to camp and be way better than this dude, just to prove to the staff, to go against their decision to say, we're going to play the guy that played better in camp and play better reps with the guys and see what happens from there. If he messes up, we're going to go back with our guy. But right now, we're going to go with the guy that eye test that we see is doing better. So it's not impossible for any one of them to draft a quarterback, even though New England doesn't necessarily need so. I hope they go with their conventional mind and don't draft a quarterback. Okay? Mm-hmm. Jacksonville doesn't necessarily need a quarterback, but who's to say to guarantee that? I like Trevor Lawrence. He plays well. He has a big time arm. He's done things. He's been to the postseason. I believe he won a postseason game. I could be right or wrong, but he's been there. He's
the Los Angeles Chargers back in like 2 years ago.
Right. However, he's a good quarterback. Look me in my eyes. Tell me when I tell you this. Do you believe he's a franchise quarterback? No. Good answer. You said you had to think. All right. Is Joe Burrow a franchise quarterback?
Yes, he is. I mean, he definitely proved it, even though they were below average this year. But he's definitely proved to be a franchise quarterback.
Is Joe Burrow a franchise quarterback? I don't care what they did this year. Is he a franchise quarterback?
Yes, he is. I mean, all franchise quarterbacks have below average seasons, and eventually they bounce back.
Is Patrick Mahomes a franchise quarterback?
Yes, he is, without question.
Is Lamar Jackson a franchise quarterback?
Yes.
Is Daniel Jones a franchise quarterback?
Nope.
No. So you said it right. Is Trevor Lawrence a franchise quarterback?
Yeah, that comes with time, like I said.
No. With our eyes, I like Trevor Lawrence. He went to Clemson. My boy went to Clemson. Okay, he's won national championship in college. I think he won it twice. He was the Heisman Trophy winner. He was a stud in college, and he's been decent to really good in the NFL. He's had years there where Jacksonville has been really bad, a lot of years, just like the one that's going on now. But he's had years where they've been competitive. They had a year where they went to the postseason. They had a year where they actually won a postseason game. I think maybe if he's been there 5 years, they might have been to the postseason twice. The other 3 years, they might have been really bad, something like that. Mm-hmm. He is good, and I know he's serviceable, but he hasn't shown us that he's a franchise quarterback. One, his durability. He has a tendency to get injured. Mm-hmm. Two, he's shown flashes of being really great and having a big-time arm and making big plays, but he's also shown that in bunches he can turn the ball over a lot too and throw a lot of interceptions and play not well enough quarterback in order for the team to win. Justin Herbert doesn't need much to make San Diego good, even when they're not good, because he's a big-time kid and a big-time quarterback. Trevor hasn't shown that yet in the NFL. So you're right. He has the time to change that. Without a doubt, I get what you're saying. But I'm not asking you about tomorrow. I'm asking you about right now. Is Trevor Lawrence a franchise quarterback?
No, he's not.
That's it. So you telling me Jacksonville can't think about drafting Cam Ward or Shador Sharp?
They should think about that because with everything else you just said, you don't know how long it's gonna last. And as I'm looking at the projections right now, Luke Curtis CBS Sports, the Jacksonville Jaguars are projected to draft this kid Will Johnson for a cornerback from Michigan.
Right. And let me ask you something. And you know this happens in sports. I'll bring up one for you. Remember a few years ago with the Dolphins?
Mm-hmm.
Remember they drafted Tua?
Mm-hmm.
Who did they have before a quarterback? Do you remember?
To be honest, no.
Yeah, we're gonna look it up. The guy that they had, as a matter of fact, was it oh my God, we're gonna look it up. But even when they were in Alabama, Tua was the backup. Jalen Hurts was the starter.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hurts was there from the year before. Jalen Hurts, they were still winning but started struggling. They put Tua in the start. Tua started doing well. They kept Tua in. I think Tua might have led them to the national championship, but then one year Tua got hurt, and then Jalen Hurts came in and did it and helped them win. But when Tua, I forgot who it was. When Tua was on Miami at first, they had a quarterback that was there, and everybody was like, "Yo."
Oh, now you know what? I believe it was a guy named Ryan Tannehill.
Right. They had Ryan. They had Tannehill, who was good. Tannehill ended up going to Tennessee and doing well, even though they're absolutely egregious right now, right? They drafted Tua, and it's like, yo, but you just drafted this young dude. How are you gonna?
Ryan Tannehill. Wait. It was Ryan Tannehill, and then after that was Ryan Fitzpatrick for a couple seasons, and then it was Tua.
Right, and even remember Fitzpatrick won down in Miami. So when Tua took the job eventually from Tannehill, everybody was like, yo, but Tannehill. Nah, they knew what was going on. Years back, I remember the Saints. When the Saints had
Drew Brees.
right. They had drafted that running dude, but when the Saints that's what it was. When
they drafted Reggie Bush and they won and they had that Super Bowl run where they defeated the Indianapolis Colts.
But no, before Drew Brees went to New Orleans, Drew Brees was on the San Diego Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
And Drew Brees did well there. He was throwing to years, all types of record, doing numbers with them. They drafted what's the boy that was the quarterback for the Chargers for all those years. That was winning those games. Oh my goodness! How could we forget? He was the quarterback around the time.
Back at the time was Daniel Thomason. I know that much.
That's the running back, right? Phillip Rivers, right?
Phillip Rivers. I was just gonna guess that. It just the name needs to come to me a little bit. I was just gonna guess that.
Rivers was drafted, and Brees was already there.
The franchise quarterback. But San Diego, they had some good moments with the San Diego Chargers during those days. But most of it wasn't really just about him. It was Daniel Tomlinson was a running back for that team. They built that franchise from the ground up.
Yeah. So, in essence, I tell you this much. The only two things I ended off with that question for the year recap is to say this. One, when the Knicks were making the run in the playoffs before they got really hurt with injuries at Indiana, when they were making the run, those games were all special. Road or home, the home games were electric. So the Knicks had a great playoff run that really captivated New York last year. That was absolutely phenomenal.
Dante DiVincenzo had that game winner in Philadelphia 76 just to be with injury. And
phenomenal.
And you know what? You know what? That's what the top. I mean, we kind of went off topic, and I apologize, but that was one of the top moments. The fact that New York sports owned Philadelphia, even the New York team that couldn't get a championship, that was special for me. Watching the New York Knicks take out the Philadelphia 76ers the first round, and then later on in the year, oh my God, the New York Mets took out the Philadelphia Phillies in the wild card.
Yeah, that was big time.
Exactly. And Philadelphia's got the best of New York sports in recent years, historically, but now it's our turn.
And I'll tell you this much. Well, we got to do well in basketball because we can't do nothing with them in football.
Yeah. But for me, that's only second highest. That's the second favorite thing that happened in 2024 for me. Behind the New York Liberty getting the job done to win a championship after 5 losses in 28 years.
And you know what's crazy about why their run is definitely number one? Their whole year was amazing. To go to the finals against the Aces, who were a really great team, probably one of the greatest.
Semifinals, actually.
No. I mean, in general, the year before, they went to the finals. They against the Aces. And so in retrospect, their whole year was definitely phenomenal. To go to the finals and lose, to have that disappointment, but to go and to captivate the city and make the city and themselves believe that they can get there and do it was one thing. And to come back with with that hunger in the regular season where they got better and added to the team and to win it and to beat the team that beat you last year in the finals and to go on to beat a really, really good Minnesota team, controversial or not, to beat a really good Minnesota team in the finals is a hell of a year. You know what I'm saying? If you could ask to have that every year, I know any athlete will take it. So they had they definitely for New York gets their flowers. They were phenomenal for New York sports.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, those are my top 2 moments. And obviously the Yankees run to the World Series only to the Dodgers. I put that at number 3, only because it was predictable. Close game or not, easy run or not, that run after the Astros got taken out in the AL wild card to the Detroit Tigers, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion the Yankees were going to finally have a run in the World Series during the Aaron Judge era, and Juan Soto carried that load. That's only 3rd highest for me because Yankees have been knocking on the door, having postseason appearances. One year they have a plus 500 record, they don't make it, and then every other year they make the postseason, they get knocked out by either the Red Sox or the Astros or Tampa Bay. Don't
forget about Giancarlo Stanton. That was the MVP of the pennant, so he wasn't just so.
You can't just miss that. Mm-hmm. And the fact I mean, even though it did end egregiously when you blew a 5-run lead against the Dodgers in Game 5, we kind of expected that. I mean, I wasn't too upset about it because I expected the Yankees to lose that series anyway. If they had won Game 6, they probably would have gone to Los Angeles. If not in Game 6 or Game 7, they probably would have got wrecked with the type of offense they have. And I told you about the type of team the Dodgers had compared to the New York Yankees. We talked about this. We debated about this. I re-listened to the whole show we've had. We debate about Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani with the stats they put up. We had a long debate about it. And listen, the Dodgers beat both New York teams. If anything, that's only like the honorable mention for the worst New York sports moments to happen in 2024 is that both World Baseball teams lost to the Dodgers on the way towards the Dodgers win the World Series.
Listen, the Dodgers won the World Series. God bless them. They won. So, I mean, as a Yankee fan, I'm not going to go in there and say, yeah, the Dodgers are going to win. That's not what I'm going to say as a Yankee fan. So, but they won. God bless them. But I don't want to sound like one of those bitter, sour guys, but the Yankees did a lot of really bad things to implode and kill themselves in the World Series by their own stretches and majors. They were terrible defensive. Actually, statistically, eye test-wise, analytically, the Yankees played one of the worst, if not the worst, World Series ever in the history of the World Series. Because defensively, they were bad. They made a lot of errors. They made a lot of miscued plays. You know, since we're talking about baseball for that, we have other things to go to right quick. But since we're talking baseball, Here goes one of the great what you call it. Volpe had errors. Chaz could have played better defensively. We were really bad at first base. Okay, in general. Judge has an error that he probably will never have for another 1,000 times that playing baseball, right?
Mhm.
We have the most errors in one inning in a game that you're up 6-0. That you have to win. You know what I'm saying? And even game one against the Dodgers, the game one, the Yankees came out and were winning. Remember, they let the game go in the bottom of the ninth because Aaron Boone decided to put Nestor Cortez in, who's never had any reps the whole postseason, an older lefty against one of the most hottest postseason hitters in the history of life.
Freddie Freeman.
Right. So game one, Yankees were winning, lose the game. Game two, Yankees had opportunities as well in that game to win. Didn't take care of it, Dodgers out. Even all the games in the Bronx, the first two, I can't tell you how many times the opportunities the Yankees played bad defensively or left guys on base. So the fact that they weren't a well-rounded team hurt them. Here goes the whole thing about the Juan Soto thing. God bless him. Go get all the money in the world. You can make up to $810 million maximum with the Mets if you opt back in after your fifth year. You get 51 and change more even after that. God bless him. We clearly see it was about the money. Who am I to say anything? You showed your true colors. It's cool. You're over there on a good team. I pray that it works out, but I know you're going to be filthy rich. We'll see how much that success goes. I told my guy if he's there for 15 years, they need to win at least 3 World Series. They need to at least minimum win 1 to make it seem like some kind of sense because they're spending a lot of sense. I probably was angry or disappointed the first 2 days of knowing Soto went over there because I know the Yankees had a good chance. They set a good shot at him. They outbid whatever the case may be. He's made the Yankees so much better by not signing because the Yankees went out and has completed more of the roster, and they're still adding on little things to make sure.
Paul Goldsmith.
Say it again.
You guys picked up Paul Goldsmith.
They added a lot of regular good baseball players to the team to fill gaps on what they have with the team to be better defensively and have enough guys around them to have a regular team for the upcoming season. Juan Soto is a generational talent. Mm-hmm. He's a generational hitter. He's a great player. He's young. The Mets will have a great player for at least the next decade. Here goes the truth and the reality about him. He's a terrible defender. Terrible in the outfield. Trust me, you'll see. But it's going to get overlooked all the years because he's going to be so great offensively, especially in a team where you have Mark Vientos, Francisco Lindor. I'm guessing Jeff McNeil will be back. You know, the young Bruce Batty. They have a lot of good guys. Starling Castro, all right, Starling Marte, right? Whatever they do in the outfield because they got a lot of decisions to make. The offense is going to blind that. But defensively, he's bad. He has a strong arm. He can throw you out. You can get it. You get it and throw you out. Everything else with fielding, being in the right position, making certain grabs, he doesn't do that. But like I said, I don't want anybody to say that I was hating. Just pay attention. Anybody who smartly watches baseball, you're going to see. And Citi Field is a big park. It's not a home run hitting park. It's a big park. So you got to learn the dimensions and play it the right way. But maybe that'll give him his ground, neither here nor there. Eventually, he's not going to play the outfield forever. So he's going to be.
They're probably going to put him as a DH.
Correct. So by like his 5th or 6th year of being there, maybe 7th, he'll be a designated hitter. And you'll be paying $50-something million for him just to designate hit. Can't ever say that about us with Giancarlo Stanton. Listen, we know we are.
Because Shohei Ohtani was a designated hitter, and that helped him win World Series.
Fine, right. But you're doing oranges and apples. He chose to be a designated hitter this year completely because they wanted to make sure that he was completely healthy coming back from where he came back from the year before, right? When he played. So that was the plan, which won them the World Series and he's young. You know Otani's going to pitch this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and most of his career, he's pitched. Even the time sometimes he didn't play and pitch when he was on the Angels, he still played the infield or the outfield because he's that good enough to do so. He's going to pitch this year on top of hitting. So we can't say that. See, the difference is that Otani has the skills to play defense. Soto does not. Soto's great because of the hitting, and he's a generational talent because of that, not because of his defensive skills. So that'll be that over time, and he's getting paid a lot of money. You see, as billionaires the guy Cohen is, they had to take it easy on the spending after this. They still haven't signed Pete Alonso yet because they're trying to make sure the market goes down lower, whatever deal they got to go to. And plus, they don't have a lot of $1 billion sending around. You got one guy that's now making $55 million a year on top of the Lindor deal.
But Steve Cohen is a billionaire, so he can afford to bring these players back.
I mean, all right. Who has the Mets signed after Juan Soto?
No big name person ever had ever since. But then again, I can't diminish that because the Mets are probably just taking the time and wait for the close the season to know who they're going to bring back.
Spring training's next month, big guy. Spring training's next month. And remember, February is the shortest month.
Yeah, you got a point.
Why do you think that after whatever that happened, the Yankees had to go and quickly in that 2-week span and make sure they get players? Because the season's going to approach soon, and eventually guys are going to sign, or maybe the market might go down for certain things. So you have to make sure that you have something to put on the field when it becomes that time.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
You know, in the NBA, once the market opens up, they don't play. Guys got to get signed because everybody ain't going to be that guy to get that deal later on. You know what I'm saying? You got to go take sometimes the opportunity when it's there. So they'll get better at that. But in essence, it's going to help both teams. It'll help the Mets big time. It's going to help that market, the Latin market with Lindor and him. And there'll be a way more competitive team. I'll tell you much, offensively and excitement-wise, they'll be great to deal with. I have no idea what they'll be pitching-wise, starting-wise. If Edwin Diaz comes back, anything like he was before, then you have a closer, but you need the game to get to the closer. But offensively, they'll be great. The Mets got what they want. It worked out for the Yankees. They're going to build their team. They got to figure it out and go from there. So we'll see if the Knicks can give us a good run, too. New York always has a lot of questions and answers for things that's about to happen.
Yeah, they have. And they have a short period of time to actually figure out who they're going to bring back. I mean, their teams are gunning for Pete Alonso. But after the season, I mean, if it not been for that home run, the wild card round against the Milwaukee Brewers, he might not have come out to New York Mets anyway. But that's hindsight.
Exactly. But
okay, now we get to my personal experience. I mean, obviously, as you already witnessed, I got to go to Fanatic Fest and they're bringing that back. Or this time they're going to do it in the month of June and not the month of August. Good thing, because you never know what engagement they're going to build for sports fans across the world coming to the Fanatics Fest. That's its own Comic-Con, but for sports fans. Yes, and if you have time, you definitely have to go come at least one day at the Fanatic Fest just to educate yourself with sports a bit more than how you educate yourself with sports throughout the years watch as a fan. And then, of course, obviously the Pro City. And not as good as the Pro City that I covered 2023. You had to play all the game winners. But at the very least, International Grind went on an international grind. After the motivational speech that Duron Scott gave to the players when they were playing bad that one game, it really fueled their fire on the way towards winning the Nike Pro City Championship at Victory Park. That was a phenomenal experience. The fact that Nike did a good job organizing that event and putting all the Nike games in that particular park. Oh, yeah, there's a Nike Sports Classic. South Shore lost both games, but at least you got a sense of the type of player that Anderson Diaz is when Lawrence Wilmore won their game. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for me. And, of course, you can't forget that I got to experience the first ever her Women's Champions Classic presented by Sharp Beauty at the Barclays Center, where Tennessee barely scratched and clawed to a 10-point win against Iowa, and of course, UConn steamrolled Louisville. Shout out to Shantae for coming along after we got each other in. Of course, UConn steamrolled, and yeah, I know they've had a couple of losses this year. I mean, they lost a game against Notre Dame, and just recently they barely lost to Juju Watkins and USC. But outside of that, UConn still killing it. They steamroll Marquette. I mean, they steamroll a lot of teams, so it's kind of rare to say that UConn losing outside the NCAA tournaments is very rare. It really is. And then, the big announcement for me, as you kind of already knew to my social media video, that I got into St. John's as a PhD student.
That's big time, man.
That suffice everything I've covered.
So that's big time, man. St. John's doctorate degree coming real soon. Can't wait for you to get there, get that start. So that's huge, and huge for you to be around St. John's and their great sports, complex for what they do in general. Not just basketball. They got lacrosse, they got many other things they do. Of course, no football program for years, but the just the facilities, the environment, and so that's big time for you and a great accomplishment. We spoke about that one. Let me tell you something. Lawrence Woodman with Tiny, that used to be, of course, at Lincoln and well known as a coach, scout, everything. In New York City and State, all the different stuff he's done. But with Tiny being the head coach for the national team, remember they have a national, they have a regional, they're like a freshman team. But with Tiny, Kenny Satterfield on that coaching staff, and the core guys those guys brought down there with my man Hank and Brandon and Dominique, the Williams family on the regional squad with that coaching staff. Lawrence Woodman is going in the right direction, and Anderson Diaz is a city kid, St. Ray's last year, right? Mm-hmm. Right, and did very well with them. Once they got him to come over, I mean, he's been just showcasing at every one of the tournaments and games how really good he is. And from the summer on, ISA down on. And you also got to tell you, I know you've probably heard his name a lot too, Troy Faison Jr. Kid is tough, man. Tough kid. Also, that goes to Lawrence Woodman National. They have a good team. They got big fellas inside. They
did lose it in the Jordan Holiday Classic, but yeah.
I mean, but you're playing prep schools and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Out of state schools. You know what I'm saying? They Lawrence Woodman National is they played Luha, right? And Luha beat them pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But they played Luha. I'm saying, and they competed. They tried to make it a little work, but they played them. And the fact of the matter is that they play a strength of schedule that, like, unless you're talking about like a Luha or a Thomas Jefferson or maybe some school upstate. I'm trying to think about who else is really, really good in the city. A lot of teams ain't beating Lawrence Woodman, so that's a good loss. Playing that Jordan, that Holiday Classic.
You're telling me they came to my school. I'm on a Canarsie educational campus and beat up Canarsie to a pole.
And Canarsie is damn good.
I know. They literally won all 4 games when they were down in Arizona and got to actually visit Arizona University, where Bryce James is going to be playing next year.
Right. You got Devin Clark. You got the kid Xavier, right?
Mm-hmm. Xavier.
And you got PJ Singleton.
Mm-hmm.
Those are bad boys.
Mm-hmm.
To win against that team, that's another team in the city that's really good. You feel me? The Nazareths, you know what I'm saying? But Canarsie is really good, and that was good for you to see those players. I'm gonna actually see some of those players too this weekend at the Gary Charles Classic. Gary Charles does his tournament every year. Of course, it's going to be at Chaminade High School, Mineola. That's Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, I think the games start like at 9:30. Sunday starts at 12:30. But good games all day. Many teams from Long Island and the city will be playing there in those 2 days. I think they live stream as well, too, so you can catch coverage. And it's going to be a really good event. On top of me doing the 5 a.m. Brotherhood Pro-Am League early in the morning, I go down to the Gary Charles event and just catch some good basketball and do some interviews. And that's it. High school, college basketball is intense. Every team is both sport, the men and the women. Every night is a dogfight now, man.
Every night's a dogfight in high school, college basketball, man. Especially Seton Hall. That little behind the back buzzer being layup that Faith made against Villanova. Faith Masonius. I mean, you probably see me interviewed her at Big East Media Day when I was when I was asked a question about the WNBA Finals rules and her favorite hip hop and R&B artists and songs. You've seen that interview.
Yes, sir.
That girl Faith with the behind the back layup. I'm sure she didn't think that shit was gonna go in. I'm gonna talk to her about that if she comes back when you go to if you come back next year in the Big East. I'm gonna interview her about that shot because
that's crazy.
There's no way you would have known that back behind the back layup that Faith made. She literally had faith.
Hey, that's why they say sometimes just put the shot up. You got to give it a chance. And wow. That's a one shining moment, huh?
Yeah, man. I mean, March Madness has come early.
For real.
Yeah, literally coming in early. All right. Now we obviously went over the introduction. We went over this, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because this Giants victory, exciting win, but in the worst time.
Correct.
How do you explain getting the most hyped victories now you're supposed to be losing to get the best quarterback? Yes, the teams that are in the top 4 might not need a quarterback, but you would have, but Ken Ward and Shador Sanders would have been number 1 pick overall if the Giants were to have lost that game. How do you explain getting one of the most hype win in the worst way, in the worst time, with 1 week left of the season? How do you explain that?
Sometimes I just think that the Giants just have the worst luck sometimes. Or like they just like doing everything the tough way. First of all, I'm coming out and watching them in the first half, and I'm like, where the heck was this offense the entire year?
First of all, there, but not as often.
Drew Lock will never play like that ever again. So we all know that. Let's just stop. They don't turn the ball over. Tracy's running the football. It was besides Tracy fumbling in a big game and 1 or 2 fumbles here and there. He's been a very good rookie quarterback, running back, excuse me. And neighbors have been very solid, just breaking records all the time at running back and receiver too. See, the problem is not receivers on the Giants. You have Slayton under contract for another 2 years. You have Wanda Robinson coming back, of course. Neighbors, the young kids coming back. You need somebody adequate to get the ball to them, and you also need an offensive line that's serviceable enough to do both things, run and a pass block, and make plays and punish guys in order to give your quarterback enough time to make these plays down the field all the time. But they just didn't need to win that game, and I'm watching them. They're running in for touchdowns, and Slayton broke like 3 tackles and got in for a touchdown, and Wandell ran in for another one, and of course neighbors. I'm like, oh God! And the icing on the cake was they come out the half, and they score a 100-yard kick return for a touchdown with the Jersey kid coming, and I'm like, no, you guys really can't be serious about winning this game. And the Colts came back. And the Colts was taking it. And then from point, I was like, you know what? Yes, Colts win the game. This will definitely be it. Like, you already got the worst record in your franchise history by losing 10 straight. It's already a record. You already
This is past the 2017 Giants for the most losses of the season.
right.
But it was a 16-game season, 17 weeks at the time. Now it's 17 games and 18 weeks. One more
Unexplainable.
record. You weren't even thinking about getting a quarterback. You stuck with Eli Manning the last time they were a 3-win team.
Yeah, because Eli Manning, not Daniel Jones. They just need to get better, and hopefully in the offseason they do that. Let's see what happens this week. Hopefully they move back up into a position spot. If not, they better draft very well at number 4. Or don't go down worse than that.
Yeah, they can't. I mean, all you could do is just cope with a roster that's not good enough to beat the Eagles, even with Saquon Barkley sitting down in the final week of the year.
Correct.
And like I said, I already told you that if the Patriots were to win and get the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, they would draft Travis Hunter. You see the type of career he's had in Colorado. I already told you. Come on now. 16 touchdowns, 96 receptions, 1,258 yards.
Yikes. And he can play defense.
That guy could be the receiver that Drake Maya need in order to continue to improve on the rebuild of the New England Patriots.
Maybe so.
I'm hearing some stuff about that kid. And then Cam Ward, and after that, the guy Cam Ward at number 2, the Cleveland Browns after this guy named Mason Graham, a defensive linebacker. I mean, to be fair, the Cleveland Browns need more defense. They don't really need a quarterback either.
Yeah, that's debatable. But go ahead.
And Shador Sanders, we already talked about this. This guy has 42 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 4,134 yards. And yeah, the rushing yards, not that great, -50. But he can throw the ball. Even though Colorado couldn't make it to the first ever 18 college football playoffs, they had a good year.
Yes, they did. So
with those statistics, do you like the Giants' chances of winning the number 1 pick in the NFL draft after they defeated the Indianapolis Colts?
No, but I hope it changes. And they can get one of those 2 big-time kids and draft well up at the quarterback and try to improve on this football team. Definitely need to go for the O-line as well.
Yeah, and this is probably a rhetorical question, but I'm asking anyway. Which New York football team needs a quarterback badly in 2025? Because we already went over the Aaron Rodgers situation with the Jets. We already went over the situation with Daniel Jones and the quarterbacks that came after him in the New York Giants. Who needs a quarterback badly, the Giants or the Jets in 2025?
Both. And not even being funny, both. Aaron Rodgers might retire. You know what I'm saying? So you might need another direction to go to. I heard the backup came in the other day, didn't do too bad. But in retrospect, even if Rodgers comes back, Jets still need a quarterback. And especially with Rodgers' health and getting older, he's not being the same, game slowing down. Giants clearly need a quarterback, but it's not even one or the above. It's both. They really need quarterbacks right now. That's why they're not good.
Yeah, they both need quarterbacks again. But all we can do is just hold on to faith for both New York football teams to hope that they actually be smart this season when it comes to getting a quarterback. Because the Jets, they taking, they got beat up in Buffalo badly. And then you just can't figure out these football teams. They can't lose rights. They just can't.
The Giants and Jets just agreed. Just what else can we say?
All I can say is that is that we got some bright spots in New York in 2025 to look forward to. The New York Knicks on a 9-game winning streak, highlighted by a Christmas Day win against San Antonio Spurs. Yeah, I was watching that in their little alternate television streaming. And the Disney had and Dunk the Halls. That was an amazing experience. I feel like I'm watching a basketball game in Disney. I mean, Goofy incorporated through Courtney Towns' plays that you've seen in the real game itself.
Nice. What a great spectrum to be at.
And then you have Donald Duck, who's pretty much in the place of Mikal Bridges. I mean, we knew Mikal Bridges in real life was the one doing those plays, but with Donald Duck, showing we got some hoops. I mean, but yeah. ESPN did a good job with all those cartoon telecasts of these sports games. It's just, that was a good Christmas game.
Yeah, man. Knicks are playing great ball, man.
But I mean, we already went over this. Do you think the Knicks are one of the favorites to win the NBA championship? Do you think that it's believable that the Knicks could actually get to the conference finals at least?
Oh, absolutely. We've already talked about the reasons why. So, yeah, absolutely. They have a good start, really, really good start five. They have the depth on the bench. They'll be getting more depth on the bench. They're well coached. A lot of their core guys are savvy. I've been there. You know, they're definitely a contender.
Yeah, they're definitely a contender. I mean, they have the front court offense, and when Mitchell Robinson goes back, you can move him to the number 5 and let Carly Towns play the 4. And I saw a video comparison. Julius Randle getting traded was the best thing that could happen, because if Julius Randle were to spin through the defender and take it down the rack, the defender would have just literally took the ball from his scoring transition. But Carly Towns, he just moves to the defender and throws it down on you. He dunked over 2 people the other night against the Utah Jazz.
Listen, he's
the ability to take it to the rack and knock down threes is something that you need in a big man that the Knicks have been starving for the past 10 years. What you think?
Well, listen, what Brunson has brought to the team, OG, Bridges, like I said, one perimeter defender away. Whether it's Robinson, Kessler, you see the Jonas thing, Valanciunas, I'm concerned about, because now Valanciunas is a very good basketball player and can shoot it at perimeter post face-up moves, can rebound it, capable of blocking shots and be having a little presence in the paint. But he's not a great defender, and I know that the Knicks are predicated on trying to get better in the defensive position with that. They don't need offense.
They don't
at the center position. They need you to be serviceable down low and to be better free throw shooters than what Robinson is per se. But so I don't know how truthful it was that. And listen, hey, who knows? He might come here and Thibodeau is good at trying to make the guys defend better. So maybe he can see some things and put him in situations so he can be well. I know he'll be another form of a 7-footer there. But they just one shot blocker away. They have everything else. Shamet can play, Payne can play, Deuce can play. You know what I'm saying? You have Hawk Porty, who goes back and forth to the G League, and then you have a big fat body there. Jericho Sims does well when he comes in with his minutes. We don't have to say about the starting 5. You're just missing a big fella.
That's all you're missing. And the fact that, and that's all you're missing. And the fact that they lack in depth, that's something they can work on as we get to the trade deadline.
Right.
Yeah. Because Jimmy Butler wants out of Miami. What can you say? He scored 9 against the Indiana Pacers.
What happened against the Pacers?
Yeah, Jimmy Butler only scored 9 points in a loss against the Indiana Pacers. I mean, and he's talking about wanting out of Miami.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on that? Because as much as he proved people wrong when he was down South Beach by having runner-ups in NBA Finals, This is now the time for G. Butler to go somewhere else. He's not getting any younger, and he proven that he's just not satisfied with basketball as in state right now. Even though he's proven the haters wrong, he's proven the haters right this time.
Well, Jimmy Butler is a really, 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 really good player. Had a lot of great moments in this league, and will definitely be remembered and put down because he put some work. But yeah, every team that he eventually has gone to, whether his fault, somebody's fault, or whatever, in luck or difference, the marriage ends.
Mm-hmm.
And I know those both guys on both camps still got a lot of love and respect for each other because he was a quality. He was a part of the culture. He was a perfect fit in for what they do and how they go about their business. But it's in best interest. Yeah, let him go to a team. I know he's talked about he'll accept trades for Dallas or Phoenix. I forgot wherever else. There's one other team that was a semi contender.
Golden State Warriors.
There we go. And the Warriors. Any one of those teams is a good pickup for him to go to, and he can research his career, be in a warm area, and you know. But that marriage is definitely is over.
Yeah, even though Miami's 2 or 3 games above 500, the fact of the matter is actually 3 games, but it just felt deteriorating watching Miami play the way they play in recent games. I mean, it's just so deteriorating.
Yeah, and then remember they're going in a youthful direction. They're trusting Tyler Hero more. They're giving him the keys to the car. You still have a young Bam. You still have a lot of young, and they're gonna just draft. And you know how they do. They bring up guys through their G League and they develop and they keep the culture. And they're probably gonna build that way to get their player. Maybe they'll get they'll find a diamond in the rough in the draft one day. And you know, Pat Riley eventually one of these years might land one of those big free agents. He's done it before, certain things in the past, and they'll be back at it. But they need a lot right now.
Yeah, they do need a lot. I mean, first of all, they need the better defenders because the better defenders because the way they defend against Indiana, just by statistics, it's just not enough. It might be enough some nights, but it's not enough all the time. They had 2 different losses in Detroit that should never happen.
And they're younger. And that's not Heat culture of basketball. You know, one thing that they pride themselves on is defense, rebounding, and toughness.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually the team that's always diving on the floor, scrappy, making those plays. They're not doing that, so they got to get some guys in there that's a part of that culture and will buy into it in order to move forward.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we can say about that. But how about DeAngelo Russell making a return to the Brooklyn Nets?
All right.
After a trade with the Los Angeles Lakers, I mean, they gave up Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton the trade to bring back DeAngelo Russell. And I mean, they made a DeAngelo Russell from New York, LA to Brooklyn before, but this time around, it may not last so long, but you got to be happy that DeAngelo Russell had come back to Brooklyn anyway. How long do you think that this is going to last with DeAngelo Russell back in Brooklyn? Because if you remember when they were to rebuild the last time he was in the roster, they made the playoffs and nobody expected to in 2019.
You know, I think they should keep him for at least 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. You should. You're not getting Kevin Durant back.
Exactly. He's known. He's got a little thing out there. So he'll attract people. People will come to Brooklyn to watch him. And he's had ties in New York before. I think they should because they're rebuilding too. Even as when you draft, you know you won't have to draft a point guard no more. At least he knows how to at least run the team and kind of play that position in the NBA pros. You don't have to develop and work on nobody yet.
Exactly. Even though they got by Toronto Raptors and almost lost to Milwaukee tonight after leading by like 111 to 90, they almost blew that game.
God bless.
But Brooklyn called a lucky break that they didn't get when they were in Orlando.
Yeah, the Magic. They won't wait. Is Pangaro ever gonna come back?
Huh?
Paolo Banquero.
Well, they said it's going to be out for a while, but let's see what happens. I mean, we're getting back to Brooklyn during the rebuild, but obviously they're not gonna play too badly. I mean, obviously the beginning was trying to tank for Cooper Flag, but I think they probably good without Cooper Flag. If they just be bad enough to get to the top four. I mean, it's hard to root for a team to lose when they find ways to win when you don't want them to.
Correct. But I think Brooklyn just needs to trust themselves. I think they hired a very smart guy as a coach. They've had a lot of bad years. They got to give it time. Let what he's preaching get in there. They got to believe, get guys that are on the same page of what he's doing, and give it some time and be fair and patient before, you just get on them right away. They're doing the right things.
Yeah, they're like taking the small steps to build. I mean, they obviously talked about trading Cam Johnson because they know that they're not going to go nowhere this year. I mean, there are a few games out of the play-in tournament, but they know they're not going to go nowhere this year. But it's DeAngelo Russell back in the Brooklyn Nets uniform since he carried the team back on his mat in 2019. Now we're in 2025. He's much older. He proved he can still ball out. But I just have that feeling they might turn Brooklyn around and attract big free agents later in the decade.
We'll see.
I just have that feeling. All right. Now on to some college basketball talk to add on to what we talked about earlier as St. John's lose another nail biter to Creighton. The same St. John's Patrick said is going to run the yard. You lose to Creighton. And to be fair, though, they're having a solid season. And bracketology projected to be like an 8th or 9th seed. But that's the same thing we said a year ago. And when he couldn't get past UConn in the semifinals, they ended up missing the tournament altogether and walked out of NIT. This time around, the one time when you thought they were going to have a solid Big East Conference season, they lose to Creighton again. Not like Bruce Jr. should have been fouled on that three-point attempt, but if you watch the game, you would have understood. But like St. John's is just tricky, and I'm glad that I'm going to go there and as a student because I mean, obviously, we all know the purpose of being college students, but I mean, everything will get more clear. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes.
So we think about St. John's season's going. Give it time. What you think?
About which part? Hold on. I'm looking into something in the camera. About which part?
St. John's.
Oh, bro, the Big East is just so it's crazy every night in the Big East. So, and they're really competitive. I think St. John's will be even more better I know it's going to be crazy this year in the Garden for the Big East tournament. So they have a really legit chance of winning it. And it's going to be back home in the backyard, of course. But the Big East is tough every night. Every team is going to go through fights like that this year where they're going to go back and forth in all the conferences. And we talked about college basketball, how it's so even across the board. And you got a couple big recruits going to the big schools here and there, but then you got other kids that are not going to big programs, going to mid-majors or HBCUs that are making names. A lot of these colleges are competitive, got guys that can play, and it's not like how it used to. I was watching Rutgers the other day. Dylan Harper was getting a triple-double by accident.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good talent out here, and college basketball is going to be crazy in the March Madness.
Exactly. I mean, shoots. I mean, Ejiofor hit a game winner against Providence about a couple of weeks ago.
Welcome to the Big East.
Yeah. But going forward, 3 of the next 4 games are going to be at home. Whether it's the Garden or Carson-Naka Arena, may God rest Carson-Naka. So they got a game against Butler this Saturday. Then they have to fly to Cincinnati to play Xavier. Then they got the games of the Garden against Villanova and Georgetown. So obviously, that's going to pick up a little bit. When you get to those games against Marquette and UConn, that's when I feel like St. John's is going to really figure out themselves as an NCAA tournament team.
They better,
because those are the only 2 ranked teams you have in your conference. So you should have no struggle at the very least finishing in the top 4 with the way St. John's been playing.
Correct.
What's your take on it?
No, they it's all laid out for them. They have one of the most best teams in town to me in the Big East. So it's just gonna, man. It's always interesting once December 31st comes, and boom, the next day for college basketball it's instant conference play. And these next few weeks, we're gonna really see how everybody is. We're gonna see, how Duke reacts. We're gonna see how North Carolina reacts. We're gonna see how St. John's reacts, UConn's, the Providences, the Indianas, the Minnesotas, the UCLAs, the Arizonas. There's going to be a lot of teams, the Arkansas, how they're going to, pan out this year in college basketball, because it's a fight, bro. Like I told you, keeping number 1 is the worst thing to have in college basketball.
Yeah, you know what? As we look at bracketology as introduced right now, look what happened. St. John's is 17 in the West, with the 17 in the West region, and that's based on bracketology. And then, of course, your Duke Blue Devils are number 1 seed.
Right, for now. And even that, with some of the rankings, is, neither here nor there. We're number 1 in the country.
Yeah. Well, you want the number 1 seeds. How about that? Because
good. Yeah. I just don't want to be number 1 in the country. They could,
Yeah.
Conference play.
Yeah. A lot of good teams. I mean, of course, UConn's there, but they're a 3 seed. I mean, UConn are not as good as they were last year with the losses in the Valley Invitational. But you know what? They proven that they can still get. They proven that they can still be one of the top teams in college basketball. Well, and there's a lot of this. It's going to get interesting as we get closer and closer to March. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, we're gonna wrap up the show by giving our condolences, because we just learned that Greg Gumbel has just passed away this past weekend after a battle with cancer. And as guys that have been watching sports for years, we kind of hear Greg Gumbel's voice on TV all the time. I mean, what do you think Greg Gumbel meant to the sports world as a professional?
Well, Greg Gumbel was a pioneer, and also, too, rest in peace to Ricky Henderson, who also had passed away a few days before Gumbel. I mean, the college basketball introductory talk is not going to be the same without him. And he, was such a trendsetter, and just an OG and pioneer for the game of media, color commentary, and announcing, and that's truly a loss in the sports and the communication world.
Exactly. This man, Greg Gumbel, was really he was the voice of March Madness, and well, he obviously called the buzzer beater that Jeff Hornacek had for the Utah Jazz that sent to the finals in 1996. He's obviously had calls like that, and he's done play-by-play for March Madness and NBA basketball. But just hearing the guy's voice, it really gets you into basketball a lot, and the NFL. I mean, he's called some of the best. He's called some good games, from that one Super Bowl loss the Giants had against the Baltimore Ravens to Odell Beckham's long 30-yard run for a touchdown against the Baltimore Ravens. To even Baltimore Ravens taking out the Denver Broncos in double overtime playoff game in the divisional round back in like the 2012. But that's besides the point. Greg Gumbel's been literally impactful to all us sports fans and media professionals.
Sure.
So rest in peace, Greg Gumbel. We'll never forget you, and we'll continue having that mindset in the sports industry and in life. You inspired us all.
That's true.
And that concludes this episode of Nothing But That Sports. So thank you for stopping by, Ryan Walker, and Happy New Year to you too. And I wish you a great 2025.
Same thing, you know, brother. You know how we do.
For Ryan Walker, Rafiq Lewis on. We'll see you next time.